Hey everybody. I am I thought I'll do a live just to react to some of the news that I've been seeing. Arsenal's making very little moves and upsetting a lot of people online at the moment. Um, but to be quite honest, I'm actually okay with the club taking their time instead of being bullied and um, and being rushed into doing things like we've done in the past. So I know, a lot of us have been invested in the idea of Emi Buendia. I know I was. The kid is really talented. I, I do think the club is going about this the right way. Even though I was upset that they didn't, close the deal. You can't. The transfer window is a lot of haggling and it's a lot of making your own moves. Um, but the too many variables. Agents have a role to play, and Aston Villa, kudos to them. They prioritized the kid and they liked him. I guess maybe enough to him for them to make him a priority. Um, but with that said, like I think Arsenal has a lot of time to figure this out. As much as I would have liked a fresh new toy in the form of Emmy, I do think the club has time, especially in those positions. We're not really desperate up there. I mean, I know it would be nice to get a player, even if it's not Odegaard. I don't care, to be honest. Um, um, Chahanoglu is a good one at AC Milan. He'd be for free. I don't think a lot of Arsenal fans would be happy with it, but I do think he's the kind of buy that the club needs to make if we're going to be building smart. I do think a lot of the expense, if we whatever the budget is, I think a lot of it needs to go actually in setting up the structure of the team. So for me, like the back line needs a little bit of work, especially on the outside. I know a lot of people will not like the idea of getting another center back, but I do think one center back that stands out above everybody else. A lot of our center backs are either potential or average guys who've been tried. Like Gabriel, potential, and he has a high ceiling, but he does have a moment of nervousness, like all players can. He does have a moment of nervousness in him, and his passing is not that great yet. And then we have Holding and Marie, who I like, but again, they kind of like average dudes who can babysit these young talented center backs we have in Saliba and probably Gabriel too. But if we are going to make noise in the Premier League, we need a really good centre back. I don't know who that is, Kunde or Tabsoba. I don't know how good those guys are. I haven't really seen a lot of them. I've seen more of Kunde, but he's a little tiny. He's about 6 feet or just under 5'9", maybe 5'10". Um, but he's a gifted kid. I don't know a lot about him. Those of you guys who know more about him could say more about that. Um, but I do think a centre back that stands above others. So for me, even though Odegaard is a player I would love at Arsenal, and I really would want us to get him, I think I don't think this guy would come. But if Arsenal could get a guy like Varane, Rafael Varane would be a great player to add because it looks like Madrid may be looking to move on from him. I don't know if that's true, but like what I'm hearing is that Madrid may be looking to move on from him. So if you can get a guy like him or another leader type centre back, I don't know if the club are thinking similarly. And then as at right back, there are a few guys that I think the club could get to. But at the moment, I think it's too early to be panicking. I know a lot of us like to get the jump, but then we haven't been great at transfer windows for a while. We haven't been great at transfer windows for a while, and I do think um, the club needs to be a little bit more measured in the way they move about, and do their business this summer. Um, and I think there's a lot of time, so I don't think it's worth the hoopla that I've been seeing online recently. A lot of people are not happy, and I think rightfully. I know the club has fucked up quite a lot, as far as like the transfers that we've made over the last 5-6 years. I think towards the end of Arsene Wenger's time, the guy was a great man for a long time, and came into Arsenal and basically changed the game. But over time, we did need to build a team around him. And one of the sad things about revolutionary thinkers is that over time they become the revolution themselves, and then they become too big and maybe a little bit too hard to advise or manage. So as much as I was sad to see Wenger leave the club, I think it was timing wise, and I think it was just unfortunate that Gazidis, who was trying to set up the transition from Wenger to the new Arsenal, he left pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean, a lot of fans have been making a fuss about Buendia. I was surprised how mad people were on Twitter over the last few days, and I just listened to another podcast, actually, one of my favorite podcasts, the Arsenal Vision podcast, and they were talking quite a lot about. I mean, they spent about 20 minutes of it, 90 or so minutes or so, talking about the Buendia transfer and what it means and whatnot. And I think they were trying to make sense of it and digest it for the fan base. But yeah, like there's a lot of people who are just getting really mad about the whole Buendia thing. And I mean, it's hard because all of us fans can never agree on any one thing universally, because it was such diverse. And I played football or soccer, as Americans call it, as a defender. So I tend to look at things in a certain way, and and all of us are going to prioritize certain things, and some people are going to look at data and other things. And I think the kid is a data monster. Like he scores goals and he makes assists. So like I think he will do well at Aston Villa. I think I think it's a miss for us. But I'm not going to lose my toys over it, though. I don't think we should lose our toys over it either, because there's a lot of talented players out there, man. Some of them within the club. I think kids like Smith Rowe will develop and evolve into better players next year. There's still the Joe Willock thing to consider as well. Is he a 10? Is he going to be playing in the 4-3-3, attacking? Andre Onana has been heavily linked with Arsenal, and I think the club is waiting for Onana to hear back about the appeal. He's on a 12-month ban. I think UEFA were really harsh on the kid, but if I think that his case was heard last week, and so it's going to be maybe in the following week or two he should be hearing about the outcome of that. And then that will decide whether Arsenal follow through and close that deal. And I think that deal, the timing of that deal, could probably allow the club to do a bit more things actually when it comes to the goalkeeping positions, because if that kid can come in April and in July and have a preseason, then it opens up the opportunity to actually let Leno go, which I don't think that the club should rush into it. But if Leno talks about he has openness to new challenges and he would like to do other things, I think if Leno wants to do all other kinds of things and he wants to be open to that, it would give the club flexibility while Leno still has 2 years left on his contract. Because if Onana's ban is then upheld, I think the kid will. Arsenal still want him regardless of the ban, was what I'm reading. So that would mean that his ban will only be uplifted, only be served to full term by next January, late January, early Feb. So that would mean then either get another Leno replacement, or keep Leno and then sell him with 1 year left on his contract. So I think fingers crossed, Onana is successful in his appeal, and then we can get him. I think that would be great money, because like last summer the kid was worth they were asking for north of 30 million euros for him last year. So you don't become that bad of a player over 1 year. So yeah, I mean he would be a great steal, I think, and he plays the kind of football that I think Arteta and his goalkeeping coach wants. I think the goalkeeping coach used to work for the Barca academy, and Onana was one of the kids, in the youth ranks there, when Inaki Kanya, who's the goalkeeper coach for Arsenal, was working there, and then went off to Ajax, and had a good run when they made that run in the Champions League and so forth. So let's see what happens with that. But yeah, like I think the club, is going through quite a lot of the changes I think we've been crying for as a fan base. Upstairs has been a big problem. The people behind, the people we don't know, who run a club, the hires that are, that make the hires for scouts, that makes the hires for coaching at the development level. And I think, this is going to be the first real summer with Arteta and Edu, who have very little experience in the Europe market in their respective roles. But I think, you don't hire people, the so-called, as the fan base likes to call them, novices. You don't hire people like that and expect, instant oatmeal type results. It's not instant oats. This is a proper stew that Arsenal is probably going to have to cook. As hard as that may be to swallow for a lot of our fans. To be honest, I see no mistake by Arteta. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I understand you correctly, but like I think everybody makes mistakes. Like I think Arteta he's definitely made his own. He's a very single-minded, stubborn guy. But I think you need to be to get to that level. I think you need to be single-minded and have some serious, strong beliefs in what you want to do. But I also think, with other strong managers, as they grow, they develop a better ability, or they develop their ability to listen to other people. So you hire strong people who are leaders, who are just not going to say yes to everything that you say. And I think that might be an area of growth for him. Well, let's see. Like I don't want to take any strong positions on him, negatively or positively. But at the moment, I'm open to him to take this project, at least 2 to 3 seasons from the starting point, and then I'll be able to make some comments, because there's a lot of developmental stuff that needs to happen with the squad, and he himself is doing a lot of developmental stuff in his new role as manager of Arsenal. So it's going to take time, but I'm not saying that naively, saying let's just let him have a pass on everything. I think it's fair to interrogate decisions and interrogate things as they happen. But I think we should hopefully do that respectfully, and also just try to be mindful that the club is really going through a lot of changes at the moment. They just replaced the contracts guy who left about 12 months ago, if not more, Huss Fahmy, who left like last summer, I think. We're now into a new transfer window, and they just replaced him with a guy from the Premier League office, Richard Garlick. And so, that guy will hopefully, smooth things up in the front office and help Edu to be able to take some time off from focusing on the contractual side of things and actually really be the technical director and focus on the footballing things and not so much the paper pushing, which is very important. But at the same time, like when you have a guy who has to do both of those roles and he's not great at either, it may take away from his ability to perform at his highest level at the one thing he's employed to do. So let's see what Richard Garlick does for Arsenal. and then let's see how that helps with smoothing things over with either contract extensions. I don't think there are too many players we want to extend as fans, but I think there may be a few players who may who may need to be extended. What about the Spotify bid? Yeah, that guy, man. Let's see. Well, let's see. I mean, that I would love a new owner. If he was going to be a sugar daddy, like what's his name at Chelsea, Roman Abramovich. But I think Daniel Ek would be interesting. But I'm not too mad about the Cronkies at the moment. I know a lot of fans, are not having them, and I'm not too mad. I mean, I'm not happy with everything. Like the one thing that I can say I'm not happy about with them has been just being too hands off. And when you have a business, like you need to really have a proper handle on it, not to micromanage people. But there's micromanaging, and then there's what they do. What they do is the opposite of micromanaging, in my opinion. They are too lax. Like, we're gonna employ people and we're gonna let them run the club. I would love that, to have a boss like that. And I think many people would love to have bosses like that. But then the problem with that is, if the people you are hiring are not great at what you're hiring them to do, then you run into the shits, which is what I think Arsenal has had an issue with recently. Raul Sanllehi came in from Barcelona, was brought in by somebody connected with the Cronkies, probably Gazidis, and then yeah, like I think that was okay with Arsene Wenger, but even with him, that was too much. So it's very hard to run a football club in that way. You need now to have like the best people in the right seats for the bus to go in the right direction. And I think that's the one thing. If I have a major gripe with the Cronkies, that I would have a gripe with, it's not so much that they haven't spent money. I mean, we spent money on Granit Xhaka and Mustafi that would have bought the same amount of money in that window that could have bought you Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. You know what I mean? Like, I know they didn't come exactly the same window, but I remember like Granit Xhaka cost us similar to what N'Golo Kante paid for Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea paid for N'Golo Kante. Mustafi, at the time, we bought him for about 30+ million pounds. That was when 30 million pounds was still a lot of money for a defender. There were no Van Dijks and there were no defenders going for crazy amounts of money. I think at the time we bought him. So I do think the club needs to get smarter at that, rather than Kroenke taking some sugar daddy style ownership. Even though I do hope that for one time this window he can do it. I think that would be great. I don't know if Arsene Wenger said he preferred Xhaka over Kante, but yeah, I mean, the careers of the two players speak for themselves, man. Like, N'Golo he's ridiculous. But yeah, it would be hard for us to find other players like Kante. I think we thought we got that in Torreira, but Torreira hasn't worked out so far. N'Golo is one of a kind, it seems, so far anyway. It seems like he's the Makelele 2.0. Because Claude Makelele was also a similar player, French, I think. I think he had some African descent. Maybe he was from the Congo. I'm not sure exactly which country, but I know that, like, he was a French guy, similar build to N'Golo Kante, same position, beast. Bossed midfield for Real Madrid, and then in his later age, bossed the midfield for Chelsea. Like, one of those early Chelsea teams that won things after Abramovich went over there. So N'Golo Kante is for me anyway, is a far better at that job than Granit Xhaka. But Granit Xhaka has his value, and hopefully we get some money for him. Roma and Mourinho seem to want him, so hopefully we get some money. I'm hearing something around 20 million euros is what Arsenal wants, 20 to 25. Roma at the moment, though, haven't paid. I think they made an offer, is what I was reading earlier. They made an offer of about 15 million euros, which is it's not going to cut it's not going to cut the mustard. Hopefully, my take about Conte rejecting Spurs, I'm fucking happy about that. That guy. But I think Spurs kind of like fucked it up. I know it's something as Arsenal fans would say all the time. I think Spurs did up with that one, because they went for a guy who is very similar to the guy they just fired. Conte knows exactly what he wants from his bosses. He's very high maintenance. He's very demanding. It was never going to work. I never thought it was going to work, and I thought if they did hire him, he was going to make them better than us this year probably, and maybe next year, and then in the middle of next year it was going to explode, because yeah, Conte is like one of those people who get married a lot. You know, he's not afraid of a divorce. He just left Inter because they just won the league, and Inter owes some money, and they're trying to make about 80 millions worth of euro. 80 million euros worth of sales this summer. Sorry, they're trying to sell players because to balance money situations due to COVID and all that. And Conte was like, well, I can't sell my best players, you know. So Spurs was smart of them to think of Conte to try and win and to try and do what Mourinho couldn't do for them. But I'm happy he's not going there, man. I can't lie. I'm so fucking happy he's not going there, because that guy knows how to win, and yeah, his football is not the greatest, but yeah, he's a winner. He asked for a Peugeot. Man, I don't know. All I know is that like, um, dude is a winner. He went to Juve. They were dull for a while, Juve, before he went there. I think they had gone almost a decade or roughly a decade without winning anything in Italy. Gets hired, wins 3 leagues straight. He's the one who started that long run of leagues Juve was winning, like almost a decade straight of winning the league. Conte was at the very beginning of that. So if Spurs had gotten him, they would have been making moves big time. But he's not a pushover, you know. Like, and I don't think the guy at Spurs, Daniel Levy, who's the main guy in charge, I don't think he likes that kind of stuff. You know, I think he loves being the top dog. He's the alpha in the house, and Conte, you can't tame him really. I mean, you know, he was having crazy press conferences when he was working at Chelsea, and none of Abramovich's employees ever question what the club does publicly. Not like that. But Conte was prepared to say whatever he wanted to say whenever. So he's his own man, and I respect him for it. But clubs like us probably couldn't do well with him either. Yeah, let's see. I don't know. I hope Hurricane leaves. I hope Spurs suffer for a long time, like we suffered for our stadium. I hope they don't win anything for the next forever. But let's see, man. Anyway, I'm gonna try and talk about transfers about a couple of times a week. I've been missing just connections with people and going to bars and all that stuff. So I thought I'm gonna try and connect with people online. And so as I take time over the summer to read and look at what's going on, I'm going to be getting on there, like just to hang out and chat about, you know, share some of my thoughts about what's going on with Arsenal and some of the other things that are going on in the football world. The Euros are coming up, and I love the game, so I'm an Arsenal fan, but you know, I'm a football man first and foremost. So I'll be out here hanging out and just chatting. Thanks to those of you guys who joined in, and thanks for appreciate the chats. I'll be setting up lives around about this time of the day, most weekdays, as things happen. So yeah, see you guys soon, and I look forward to catching up sometime again. Shout out to you. How do I say your name? Shub Levin, DDA. Cheers, brother or sister, or they, or whatever your you prefer to be spoken to in terms of genderless or what gender. It's hard to know with handles what people are identifying as. But I am talking too long. But yeah, I am going to close this live. I'm trying to do everything within 30 minutes or less, so that I can keep short but engaged kind of pieces of communication with whoever decides to join over here. But cheers, mate. See you.